Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. This is the Postmortem for Game 20, featuring Mad Scientist Kitty Cats versus Ignoble Teddy Bears. Both of these teams defeated the favorite, the higher-seeded opponent in the previous matchup. Mad Scientist Kitty Cats defeated Mega Trooper Ninjas, and as I'm sure you all know, Ignoble Teddy Bears defeated Kaiju Innsmouth, which I am still upset about. I don't think a lot of people had this matchup planned out on paper, because as I said, 70% favored Kaiju Innsmouth to win the first matchup. I did expect Mad Scientist Cats to advance, did not expect Ignoble Teddy Bears to advance. But when they did, I thought, okay, this isn't the worst thing in the world, because I love Mad Scientist Kitty Cats. They're very dear to my heart. Because they're a combination that not a lot of people knew about, despite being in the game for a very long time, and they have some crazy upside for plays. This matchup, though, was not expected, and because I didn't have Ignoble Teddy Bears playing Mad Scientist Kitty Cats, I chose Kaiju Innsmouth to win, and obviously that's not going to happen either way. Mad Scientist Kitty Cats did win in 2 games, which is what I would have expected if I knew that these two teams were playing. But what I didn't expect was how crazy close these matchups were going to be. And at this point, you have to ask a fair question. Are the Ignoble Teddy Bears overperforming, or was I simply wrong? I had called them the number 32 seed. Despite liking them, they had the least upside in my opinion, and they could have a very bad floor. But now I think it's fair to say that I was wrong. I'm not sure how wrong I was, but they have managed to really hold their ground against 2 very difficult teams where they honestly have no business winning, in my opinion. But they managed to make it competitive against Mad Scientist Kitty Cats, and they managed to beat Kaiju Innsmouth twice. And that's saying a lot about them. So apologies to the Ignoble Teddy Bear gods. You were a lot better than I thought you were, so please stop wrecking all my teams. Why did I think that Mad Scientist Cats would beat them in this fake matchup bracket that I have? It comes down to the fact that the Ignobles are giving away their minions. You know, cats love to destroy their minions for benefits, like extra actions, extra minion plays, or card draw, but they typically need either Queen Fluffy or another play in order to get opposing minions. With Ignobles, they're making it easy for you. They're giving your minions away. In addition, if you play with the Ignoble Titan, then you're going to be giving them away with more power, which is great. Now that's an extra card that I draw for Catfight. This is fantastic. Ignobles have to play around that entirely. And if they do, then things are going to be really hard for them. Because it means that Sneaky Squires have to be careful about using their extra minion plays, because they might be destroyed. Betrothed, you have to be very careful about that. Because I would Catfight any Betrothed that comes my way. I wouldn't want to deal with the extra VP. And it'd be great because I get 3 cards for doing virtually no work. Even though I can only do that twice. If I had Whiskers out, I would destroy them immediately for extra actions that I may not even use. There's just a number of ways that cats can counter Ignobles very well. But they also have some really strong minion bursts, and they can play from behind and just overcome if they know how to take back their minions. The key concept on this match is that if the cats control the minions on their turn, then they can do something with them. But if they don't, if you do everything on the Ignoble's turn, then there's limited abilities for what the cats can do. The best thing they can do is try and steal a minion with Ken Has Cheeseburger. Of course, Inevitable Betrayal can take that minion right back. Of course, you can do Inevitable Betrayal first, and then Ken Has Cheeseburger it, so whichever one is played second is going to take priority. But they still don't have an answer for Love Overload. Even though the cats can make minions indestructible with Hang In There or with the Mad Scientist Uber Serum, you still have to watch out for Love Overload. And they have a tendency to build some very powerful minions, and Angry Mob needs to be careful about that. Or when you do Body Shop, you have to kind of spread your counters out so that if you do destroy the largest powered minion, it's going to be okay. That actually ended up happening in Game 2, where it was the combination of both specials that enabled Ignobles to take Ponyland, solo. What happened was there are two minions, one of which is very powerful for Mad Scientist Cats on Ponyland. And Ponyland says that if you have two or more minions here, your minions cannot be destroyed. So that would block Love Overload. But one of those minions was owned by the Ignoble player. So if they use Inevitable Betrayal to take back the minion they own, now there's only one minion there, and it's still the largest minion, so you can Love Overload it, and you go from winning a base 3-2 to losing a base, and your opponent gets 3 points instead. So that's a 3-point swing. And it's a large reason why the score was 15-14, which was incredibly, uncomfortably close. Now, I still like to think that Mad Scientist Kitty Cats would prevail in Game 3 if they happen to lose Game 2, but the sheer fact that Ignoble Teddy Bears have managed to be in every game that they've played, even Kaiju Innsmouth Game 2, where if they had drawn literally any other minion, they would have won, in my opinion. They've been really impressive, and it was a valiant fight that they put up, but they are going to be going home. If you're not familiar with Mad Scientist Kitty Cats, they have two major aspects of them. They have incredible singular upside, and then they have crazy combined upside. And I've talked about this before, but what happens with Ignoble Teddy Bears is that they can take away the second incredible upside by rushing a base with all of their minion plays. They do need time to set up their plays, because you need Uber Serum to grow a significantly large minion. And by significantly large, I typically mean about 7 or 8 power, which is a lot of power creep, especially with lower breakpoint bases. You can catfight to draw more cards, you can body shop, you can angry mob. With a Whiskers or two, you can combine these things together. Let's say that you have 2 Whiskers and an indestructible minion, and the minion has 8 power. You can catfight it to draw a bunch of cards. You can angry mob those cards you'd be drawing 8 cards, you'd angry mob at least 8 of them potentially, that would go to 16. If you body shop it, you're adding 16 power on any base that you want, on any minion that you want. That's how they're getting multiple bases at the same time. But it still means that you need to get to 8 power and have a couple of Whiskers out on your turn. If you're Ignoble Teddy Bears, you would use your mass minion plays to just completely rush that base and prevent that upside from ever happening. And I think that definitely played a role. In that case, you almost have to expect that you're not going to hit the maximum upside and play Mad Scientist Cats differently to use their individual upside. That means using Queen Fluffy and Whiskers to destroy a minion every turn. It means using the monster and Air Doctor to play an extra minion every turn. Both of those engines are incredibly powerful, and I mentioned that in their team video, that even if you draw purely one faction over the other, you should be okay. And I think that a lot of the plays that you saw in these two games really manifested that way as the game went on longer. Because they were played by two different teams, I think that both teams realized eventually that this is going to have to be a little bit more bursty, because they're playing burst, so I have to play burst. And that's why you see bases being broken out of nowhere by playing It's Alive with the monster to play another minion, which might be a muffin to steal a minion, and just going big that way. Knowing now that they're going to have to play Rockstar Ghosts, I think that's going to have to be the same game plan, because Rockstar Ghosts are incredibly fast. They can have a ton of solo base potential. You have to play defensively against them. They're going to have to play fast, and they're going to have to play smart. It's going to be a very interesting matchup to see who could win. And I'm excited to find out what's going to happen. That's the postmortem for game 20. We'll see you tomorrow for game 21. Let's shut it down.